Not long after midnight on December 15th, 2022, officers forced entry at 34-year-old Brent Alsleben's apartment door in New Auburn, Minnesota.
Over your ass, right here! He's lighting it! Get on him. Get on his back. Got a knife.
But who was Alsleben, and what were officers doing at his apartment in the middle of the night?
Proof, once again, that cops and ambulances and people, they have no doing. They're absolutely insubordinate. They're treasonous, even.
The events leading up to that night began earlier on December 14th. Concerned for Alsleben's mental well-being, his parents called 911 requesting officers check up on their son, who was suffering from paranoid delusions.
Sibley County Sheriff.
Okay.
Hey, what's up?
So basically, I'm just trying to get somebody else here to try and talk to Brent
Okay.
to convince him he doesn't want to talk to law enforcement.
Okay. Should I have, I better have rescue come, just to stand by, because I think that's a policy.
Yeah, probably.
And then I'll page an ambulance. Should I page an ambulance? I'll page an ambulance out of Glyco. That's where they come from.
Yeah, and hopefully they can talk to him and convince him to come in. He's locked himself in the bedroom.
Okay. I will.
There were weapons,
help
but we removed them.
No weapons?
Yeah, there was, but they're gone now.
Okay,
He might have them in his room. I don't know.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, be careful. Bye.
Deputies from the Sibley County Sheriff's Office, along with EMTs, arrived at his apartment to check in.
I'll make some food. But only you can come in. Right? I'm gonna make some food, yeah. So, you're the only person that can come in, though, right? I'm trusting you.
The officers kept talking to Alsleben from outside the apartment for several hours, but eventually he stopped responding.
I'm coming forward, okay?
Sheriff's office, buddy, you've got to stop this. Please come out with your hands up.
There's still flames.
We're here to help, Brent. You've got to stop this.
As night fell, he still refused to come out, and more officers were called to respond. By midnight, 3 Hutchinson police officers and 2 McLeod County deputies arrived at the scene. They forced open the door but did not enter, calling for Alsleben to surrender. There was no response, and the officers couldn't see inside.
I got zero vision. It's nothing but smoking here now. Smoke and fire extinguisher.
Hey, throw the water main back out.
Tell fire to bring a lineup.
Here you go. Brett, show me your ass! Do it now! Contact. Show me your ass! Do it!
Officers saw what looked like a fire starting in the apartment. Fearing for Alsleben's safety, the officers decided to enter.
We're here to help, Brent. You've got to stop this. David.
Inside, they found him lying on the floor, holding a large hunting knife. As they tried to take him into custody, a struggle broke out. Alsleben slashed one of the officers with the knife, and deputies tried to subdue him using tasers. But they were not effective. Still armed, he began to stand up. Then 3 Hutchinson officers fired their weapons, killing him.
I got zero vision. It's nothing but smoking here now. Smoke and fire extinguisher.
Hey, throw the water main back out.
Tell fire to bring a lineup.
Here he comes. On the ground.
Brent,
Show me your ass! Do it now!
contact.
Show me your ass! Do it! Show me your ass right here! He's lighting it!
Get on him. Get on his back. Got a knife. Drop the knife! Shots fired!
Officer Taylor Fenrick, with 17 years on the force, fired his duty pistol. Officers Philip Melke and Tyler Schmeling, who had 9 and 8 years of experience respectively, both fired their patrol rifles. 2 other deputies discharged their tasers during the confrontation. None of the initial responders from the Sibley County Sheriff's Office were involved in the use of force. Following the shooting, the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension was called to investigate. Crime scene personnel recovered a large knife from the apartment, which can also be seen in Allslaben's hand in the body camera footage. The Hutchinson officers involved in the shooting were placed on administrative leave while the investigation unfolded. In a recent interview with WCCO TV, Allslaben's parents said mental health professionals should have been on scene. He was suffering from paranoid delusions due to his bipolar schizoaffective disorder, they said.
I don't know that I could come back from watching my son get shot.
Newly released body camera footage, too painful for two Minnesota parents to watch. Their adult son was shot and killed by law enforcement while he was having a mental health crisis nearly 2 years ago.
They were the ones who called 911 to get him help, and now they're calling for change.
Brent Allslaben's parents were outside when, back in 2022, several law enforcement officers made their way into his apartment in New Auburn.
Allslaben's mother said they warned officers before they went inside.
Show me your ass! Do not contact! Show me your ass!
She grabbed a SWAT officer and said, this is my baby boy. Don't kill him. He just needs help.
They say it's been difficult to cope, and the videos released show only a piece of what happened that day.
The escalation was unacceptable and unnecessary.
Tara and Jay Sykes have not seen the footage of Brent's final moments.
I don't know that I could come back from watching my son get shot.
Videos tell such a small part of Brent's story.
Brent's parents say there should have been mental health professionals on scene, a failure they feel cost their son his life.
Not anti-police. We are pro mental health.
Because Brent had a knife and an officer was stabbed, the Sibley County attorney determined the use of deadly force was justified.
In March 2023, the Sibley County attorney found the 3 officers who opened fire were justified in their use of deadly force, writing that the officers involved were reasonably put in immediate fear for their lives and the lives of others, and the use of force was necessary.
All right. So here we have another police department gunning down someone who's having a mental health crisis. Now, I will say that it's just unfortunate, it really is, that it had to come to this. The police just aren't really equipped to deal with this mental health thing, honestly. Like they just don't have it in them. They could barely deal with anyone who's functional. They themselves aren't functional. You know what I mean? In many cases. So again, here we are calling the cops to get them to help you with a loved one who's in need. They come, and not only do they make the situation worse, they kill your loved one. Now, I will say that those parents seem sincere and genuine. I can't imagine the pain that they feel. While we may all be talking about this in passing, they're actually dealing with the loss of their child. And they seem like people who were really just in need of society having services that actually work and deal with the issues that people in society are having. And as it stands now, folks, unfortunately, as this mental health crisis, I'll call it, continues to uptick and the numbers get more and more disproportionately high of people who are dealing with mental health issues, the police departments in no way, shape, fashion, or form can keep up. They're not even programmed. They can't even deal with people who are not having mental health crises, let alone someone who's in need of special care. And even the competency, right? Like between the taser and the bullet was a very short period of time. That they said it was ineffective, well, it was a very short period of time. Granted, it was a live situation, and everyone can talk about what they could have, should have, did have done, would have done after. But even then, I saw the guy, he entered with the shield. Could you not have used that shield to get on top of a guy? I mean, he had a knife, right? Like, could you not have used the shield? Could you not have maced him to disorient him? In addition to tasing, in addition to a nightstick and other non-lethal options where you can give yourself some distance, break an arm, break a leg, break a few fingers, but save the man's life, right? Seemed to me that was a legitimate option. Rather than not, this whole thing took 2 years. That's another thing, right? To even deal with any of this, it takes a year, 2 years, 3 years to even sort it out in too many cases. So it comes out that the police are not indicted. They're not found to be liable for anything in this particular case, as far as the technicality is concerned. It would seem to me, folks, we need solutions to our problems. Now, if we're in agreement that we're going to continue to use law enforcement, then we're going to have to come up with the policies and strategies and put it in place. And in many cases, this is happening on a local level. I'm not sure we're yet ready to go federal, so we can at least do some things on the local level to try to give ourselves better options. In Minnesota, where this occurred, there are mental health lines. Maybe they didn't know about it. But these law enforcement officials, they're not coming to save us. And as much as it pains me to say that, and as much as that sucks to be our current reality, I think it's incumbent upon us at this point to say the truth. And the truth is, in more cases than not, they're making things worse than they need to be. Now, again, I'll say also, parents, I heard on one of the calls the father saying the son may have access to weapons. I mean, this is information that, while helpful, you're not really giving your son the best possible outlook here, because they're coming, not necessarily intent on saving someone. Now, granted, in this particular case, they did give it quite a while, and they even, for a short period there, they did attempt to go non-lethal, but ultimately wound up, going lethal. It's just so unfortunate, especially when people are having this whole mental health breakdown. So my advice, let's say, not my advice really, but things that we can learn, myself included, from this whole experience, as it relates to, mental health, and we all having that reality being upon us. Anybody can deal with depression and sadness and different things at any moment. We got to start getting ahead of things. We got to start thinking, preeminently and preventatively, right? Like, not after. We got to get ahead of this. We got to start solving our own problems. I mean, the institutions that are in place, government, in many of its facets, are breaking down. They just are. And we can no longer afford to depend on that as our primary option. Really, hell, too much of any option, but I get it, right? Like, we need public water, right? We need certain things, and even that is not even 100%. That is becoming more and more of a disaster. So while we can only deal with what we can deal with, we got to deal with what we have to deal with. We got to prioritize. And if we have family members or we ourselves are dealing with these things, we need to do our best to get ahead of it before having to be in a situation where you're literally gambling, hoping for a 7-Eleven, but there are a whole lot of options out there that are not 7-Eleven, that are not in your favor. So odds, probability, and statistics are not really looking good for us when dealing with law enforcement. So let's prepare. Let's form better relationships within our families, our communities, community resources, better connections as far as if you have a service that you can offer, maybe exchange services, whatever it is to give ourselves a better option than where we currently are, we need to start thinking about. And take care of yourself. Keep your eyes open. Keep your ears open. Maintain situational awareness. Rely on yourself.